Do you remember those childhood summers? The ones that seemed to stretch out forever, like an infinite, sun-drenched highway? Or how agonizingly slow the clock ticked in those last few days before a birthday or a big holiday? Now, think about last year, or the last 5. Was it all just a blur? A quick flip of a calendar page? You're not just imagining it? In one study of nearly 1,000 adults, a whopping 77% agreed that Christmas seems to show up faster every single year. It's a feeling we all share. The years pick up speed, slipping right through our fingers like sand. We joke about it, we complain about it, but we hardly ever ask the most important question: is time actually speeding up? Or is something inside our own heads fundamentally changing the way we feel it? Here's the truth. The clock on the wall is ticking at the exact same, stubbornly consistent pace it always has. A second is still a second. A year is still 365 days. The thing that's changing isn't time, it's you. More specifically, it's your brain's relationship with time. And that relationship is almost entirely governed by one powerful and seriously overlooked principle: novelty. The reason those childhood summers felt like an eternity is because, to your brain, they basically were. Everything was new. Every taste, every scraped knee, every single experience was a fresh piece of data that your brain had to carefully process and file away. But as we get older, life finds a rhythm. The daily commute, the same tasks at work, the weekend chores. Life becomes routine. And for your brain, routine is the fast-forward button. Your brain on autopilot. The main idea is this: your personal experience of time is directly tied to how much new information your brain is forced to deal with. Think of your brain as a super meticulous archivist. When you're young, it's in a state of intense data collection. The world is a massive library of unread books, and your brain is trying to document every single page. Your neural pathways are firing like crazy, creating rich, detailed, and totally distinct memories. This is why you can often recall childhood events with shocking clarity. Your brain was basically in high-definition recording mode. But what happens when the new experiences start to dry up? What happens when Monday feels just like Tuesday, and this month feels just like the last one? Your brain, being the incredibly efficient organ it is, does something remarkable. It stops recording the boring stuff. It recognizes the pattern of your commute and says, "Hey, I've seen this one before." It compresses the data. So instead of storing 5 separate, distinct memories of your work week, it just creates one blurry file called "Another Week at the Office." Days, weeks, and even years of routine get squished into these simplified memory files. So when you look back, there are fewer individual memory markers to count. The result? The entire period feels shorter. Time hasn't actually sped up. Your brain just stopped hitting the record button on the mundane parts. Neuroscientists have a name for a related idea: the holiday paradox. Think about it. A one-week vacation often feels like it flies by while you're on it, but when you look back, it feels like it lasted a month. Why? Because that week was packed with novelty, new sights, sounds, and foods. Your brain was knocked off autopilot and had to create a ton of new, vibrant memories, which in hindsight stretches out your perception of that time. The psychology of the time blur. So, how does this actually work inside our heads? Well, Duke University professor Adrian Beijan has a theory that our perception of time is linked to the speed at which our brains process mental images. As we get older, our neural pathways get more complex and, frankly, a little worn. This means the rate we process new information slows down. It's like our internal camera's frame rate starts to drop. When we were young, we were processing life at 120 frames per second, smooth and detailed. As adults, that might drop to a choppy 24 frames per second. The same amount of clock time passes, but we're capturing far fewer unique mental snapshots within it. Another huge factor is something called proportional theory. To a 5-year-old, 1 year is a massive 20% of their entire life. It's a huge, significant chunk of their existence. But to a 50-year-old, a year is just 2% of their life. That shrinking fraction makes each year feel less significant and, as a result, faster in comparison. And then there's the role of pure emotion and attention. We remember things that carry a strong emotional charge. Think about a first kiss, a huge accomplishment, or even a scary accident. Those moments stand out like bright landmarks in your memory. Routine, by its very nature, is emotionally flat. It doesn't create the memorable peaks and valleys that help us map out our lives. It's just a flat, featureless plane that we speed across without ever noticing the journey. Multitasking and constant digital distractions just make this worse. Our attention becomes fragmented, chopped into tiny, forgettable bits. We've all been there, right? You look up from your phone, and an entire evening has vanished into a memory black hole. When our attention is divided, our brain isn't fully creating a lasting memory of any single thing. The result is a day that feels both busy and empty, a day that flies by and leaves almost no trace. So, what now? How to reclaim your time? Okay, this might sound a little depressing, as if we're all just doomed to an ever-accelerating luge ride through life. But that's not the case at all. The very thing that causes this problem, routine, also holds the key to fixing it. If a lack of new information is the culprit, then the solution is to consciously fight back with novelty and presence. We can manually switch our brains off of autopilot. Here's how. First, you have to actively seek out novelty. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job and go backpacking, though, hey, that would definitely work. Novelty can be found in the small moments of your life. It's all about intentionally breaking your patterns. Take a different route to work. Listen to a genre of music you always ignore. Try cooking one new recipe every single week. Visit a park or a neighborhood in your own city that you've never bothered to explore. The goal is to just give your brain something new to chew on. Every new experience, no matter how small, forces your brain to create a distinct memory, which acts like an anchor in the river of time, stopping the days from blurring together. Second, practice being present. Novelty helps force this, but you can also train it directly. The real enemy here is multitasking. When you're eating lunch while scrolling through emails and half listening to a podcast, you aren't truly experiencing any of those things. Your brain isn't making a solid memory of the meal, the info, or the conversation. So, try single tasking. When you drink your morning coffee, just drink the coffee. Feel the warmth of the mug, smell the aroma, and actually taste it without any other distractions. This deep engagement with the senses makes the moment richer and way more memorable. Third, create moments that are actually worth remembering. Our brains are wired to hold on to events with an emotional tag, so create some. Don't just let your weekends happen. Plan something on purpose. It could be a hike, a board game night, or starting a small project. These planned events act as pillars in your week, giving it shape and definition. Afterwards, take a second to reflect on it. Journaling is an incredibly powerful tool for this. By writing down what you did and how you felt, you're basically telling your brain, hey, this was important. Save this memory in high definition. You become the curator of your own life story, making sure the chapters don't all blend into one. And finally, you have to be deliberate about where you put your attention. Your focus is one of your most valuable resources, and let's be honest, modern tech is designed to smash it into a million pieces. The endless scroll and the constant pings are engineered to keep you in a state of distraction, and that creates a huge sense of lost time. So, set some boundaries. Have no phone periods during your day, especially during meals or an hour before bed. By taking back control of your attention, you give yourself the mental space to actually experience your life as it's happening, instead of through the fragmented lens of a screen. Look, I know this is a lot to take in, and the idea of completely overhauling your routine sounds exhausting, so don't. Start small. The goal isn't to change everything at once, but just to prove to yourself that this works. So here's your challenge. This week, commit to doing just one thing differently. Just one. Take that new route to work you've been thinking about. Go into that little coffee shop you always walk past. Call an old friend you haven't talked to in ages. Learn how to say hello in a new language. At the end of the week, look back. I guarantee you, the day you did that one new thing will stand out. It will be a clear, distinct memory. A small but real victory against the blur. If you found this perspective helpful and you want to learn more ways to understand your mind and live a more intentional life, please consider subscribing to the channel. We explore ideas just like this every single week. The feeling that time is speeding up isn't some law of physics. It's a symptom of a life being lived on autopilot. It's a sign that we've simply stopped paying attention. Those endless childhood summers weren't a magical fluke. They were the direct result of a brain that was wide-eyed and constantly buzzing with the newness of the world. The good news is, you can get that back. You have the power to consciously re-engage your brain, to feed it novelty, to demand its full attention, and to fill your own timeline with rich, vibrant memories. You can turn that compressed, blurry file of last year back into 365 individual days. It doesn't require a different life, just a different way of living the one you already have. It all starts with the simple, powerful choice to start noticing again. If you find this interesting or relatable, please like, subscribe, and share.